Hi, Marianne! Oh, who is that? 7:15 p.m. What day is it? Hey, Marianne! So, friends with Isabella, Hannah, not much in Zachary, or Rebecca, or Ashton, some in Luke. But you like a Luke a little bit more than Hannah? How dare you? The numbers are so little on the top of my screen, and they glare at me with such intensity that I can just hear their accusations. Or cute, or something. I'm late for a night out with the girls, yes, but I have a perfectly good excuse. Jeez. Considering I didn't follow typical office hours, they really don't expect me to be able to just go as I please at 5:30 on the dot. The client is, first and foremost, my priority. I have to sit tight when my personal assistant, Chris, tells me we have a big one coming up and that I shouldn't miss this one. He knows a lot more on the who's who and the what's what when it comes to these socialities, and I trust that judgment call. I really don't have time for rich people, their drama, and their politics. These sort who were born with silver spoons in their mouths and who were used to wagging their silver tongues about. I let him handle the negotiating with them for the most part. Why else would I have hired him? But he told me I received a message about it an hour ago.
Now, if only he has the full shilling when it comes to the time.
Man, that's a big computer. Come on, I have a social life too, you know, to an extent. Sort of. Pressing my head against the table, I tried to stave off on an oncoming headache when the notification for a new email pops up. All I'm expecting is a, hey, this looks like a good project I found. Go send them a design or something like that, really. That's how it often goes. Even with these rich, jammy clients who's heard of me from their equally rich, jammy friends, I can't expect them to hire me right off the bat. Which is all well and good and reasonable. We figure out what they want, send them my portfolio, my drafts for their projects, my rates, and hope for the best. This is a big client, Marianne. I'll babysit Barithio for you. Just please take this one project. I promise this person is huge in Luxborn. Mr. Parker, this is a formal request to secure the services of Marianne Kalal, hereinafter called the designer, as authorized by Hannah Wright. Hereinafter called the client for interior design work at the Ermengarde Mansion, Luxborn, LX 18ORF, United Kingdom. The client hopes to have the designer there on 21st, October, Friday, with the time pending. But as I open the mail and see that I've been requested by the client specifically, well, I certainly didn't expect that, and it's pretty straightforward too. Anyone else would probably be excited. They could be working with the Hannah Wright. She's just one of those rich societies that everybody loves to talk about, no matter how hard I try to tune such nonsense out. It would have been enough for me to reply an affirmative to Chris and leave, but he has never pleaded for me to take a project before. We've worked with big personalities in the past, celebrities, bankers, and even a few politicians. My pa had been indifferent about those. So the question bounced about my skull before I spy one of the email attachments. A newspaper clipping from the Luxborn Daily's business news section, boasting the headline, Wright Enterprise donates 2.5 million euros to refuge. It certainly caused quite a stir back then. Apparently, they had invited businessmen and socialities everywhere, in the gist of it being some big business announcement.
2.5 mil and an expensive looking party to boot. These people sure know how to throw their money around.
Not that I should be so callous. They're going to do a lot of good and help a community of people with all those pounds. Or pounds, I guess. I, of all people, shouldn't criticize such acts whether they were for show or not. At the very least, I know they'll be able to pay my rates. With the headline out of the way, however, I find myself staring at the picture that came along with the clipping. Because, wow. Here I am, expecting a sour old woman in a blazer and skirt. But the woman that was plastered on the front page looked like she belongs on the front page of the entertainment section, or even, if I am to be crass, as the pinup for a glamour. Okay, I'll be real here. A man's magazine. She sure knows how to rock that dress. Wait. Her hair, her eyes, her lips. She can't be her. And at the same time, she is her, only several years older. Wait, what? She looks just like... No, come on. Wait, Mac? The world is full of pretty blondes. It's just a coincidence. With a shake of my head, I snap out of it and reach out for my phone when it buzzes, nearly falling off my chair in the process. Who else would be on the other line but the very people waiting for me?
Oh, piss. I'm so sorry, Cam. I'm on my way.
That's what I say. Yet I still don't move from my chair, face flushed and heart racing. I could only stare until I can will myself to reply that yes, I'm accepting the assignment. And it takes even more time for me to just close the image, shut down the computer, and leave. Even then, it has already burned its image into my head, no matter how much I wish it would just disappear. It makes me eager for the alcohol in the company. It makes me wager for anything that can help me forget. It's a good thing that the nearest pub is just a hop, skip, and a jump from here. The Galway Shawl, as it is called by those who frequent the place, is the only decent Irish pub in this county. Nice. And look at here, we're on the 18th. Marianne, you are only 30 years old? Is Isabella the only one in the 20s? Jesus. Former architect? Let's see. You can pretty much tell that someone is new if they call it by its official name, the Growlbar. My home away from home ever since I moved to Luxbourne. Well, that is when I'm not cooped up in my condo and working anyway. It has good alcohol, good company, and thank God and Saint Silica good music. Crowd favorites like the Bofino Noise, the High Wesleyan Men, and Second Fusion Orchestra are often played. Not to mention the singing. I love singing. Anyone could just break out into a drinking song, and the others in the pub were just wonderful that they start singing along. And doing so while intoxicated is the best of ways to go about it. Hey, it's a win-win as long as I don't puke in the middle of the chorus and as long as I can get home in one piece at the end of the day. And tonight is karaoke night. What better time than to try and sing all my worries away? That's what my intoxicated brain tells me.
The ghost of guilt and sorrow remembers who I am, and in the prison of my heart, I was my only slave.
But drinking only reminds me of my home, and the thought of home makes me think of her.
But in the depths of my cold soul, I'll leave the burden and despair.
I would love to know what those lyrics go with what music instead of this jazz. It makes me nauseous. It sickens me that the smallest reminder of her can cause me such grief.
I'll fight for what's worth fighting for. Forget the fear, forget the rest.
Of course, that might just be the booze, and the other day I would have scolded myself for drinking so much.
I lied to the Lord, I lied to myself, I lied to you and everyone I care, until there were no more lies to tell.
But I already have a client, and we'll be having our first little meet and greet in a few days.
Cowardice is easier than being brave, but at last I found the strength I lost to sing my love letter to you. 'Cause people can lie, but my lone heart beats true.
I want to at least enjoy this night, get over the hangover tomorrow, and return to being a prim and proper professional after.
That song was for Cam, our lucky bride to be. So give her a hand, Galway shawl.
Oh god. Considering the state I'm in, one can excuse my smug grin as cheers and applause rise among the pub's patrons. Because, possibly off-key public singing aside, I feel like I'm on top of the world right now, and that's a good reason as any to belt out in front of these strangers. With good drinks and good friends, there's no one else I'd rather be tonight. And I forget for a short while.
And that song was brought to you by Marianne McCullough, everyone! A round of applause!
Is that your sister?
That was so good. You rock, Marianne.
Oh, please stop. You're just saying that.
You know neither of us can hold a tune, Marianne. A toast to our shameless drunk singer. May your drinks forever flow and your notes be ever lovely.
Tuh.
If anyone deserves a toast tonight, that's Cam. Finally sealed the deal after 3 years, eh?
Read 'em and wait, bitches.
Huh. Camilla's diamond engagement ring gleams as she holds it up for all the world to see. Oh, that's Cam. She has reasons to be proud. 3 years of living together, and her boyfriend finally asked her the big question. Obviously, she said yes.
Don't get too attached to that ring or the one after, sweetie. I was wearing a wedding ring not so long ago, and look at where I am.
Tuh.
But enough of me being a downer. Cheers to a happy engagement!
Of course, if something like Haruna's divorce were to happen, I'd be there for Cam. Just as Cam had been there for me, acting more than just my yoga instructor. I can't be happier for my friend right now.
Cheers! Cheers.
Well, we both will be there for Cam, won't we? Haruna and I? Or Haruna. It's been a real bad year for her ever since her divorce. She's such a nice person, even loaning me money to open a studio, and she didn't deserve what her husband had pulled. What did her husband do? I'm happy she's smiling again and pigging out like she used to. I think we all missed our Japanese firecracker. We met in yoga class, something I had joined to keep myself in shape and, well, honestly, so that I could make friends when I had moved to Luxborn. Clearly, it worked like a charm. And it definitely didn't have anything to do with the fact that I brought along my lucky D20 die with me on that first day, no sir. I love these girls so much.
What about you, Marianne? You're 30 years old and you still haven't got yourself a man.
And you guys know I have a very busy schedule. I don't have time for that.
Oh, come on! That's a lame excuse and you know it!
Yeah.
You need a man who'll take care of you and you need it now! Maybe some hunk who'll be your house hubby while you rake in the dough.
Break in the dough.
I'm quite capable of taking care of myself. Who needs a Mr. Right?
How about Mrs. Right?
Hey, look at me, I'm Marion McCullough, a lawful neutral cleric with 9 points in wisdom and 8 in charisma, but I can't get myself a date.
I mentioned druids and demons once. Once. They don't even know the rules or understand what the numbers mean. And I certainly am not some sort of holy person. I am a far cry from a miracle worker, and I barely have the willpower to fight off demons, especially my own.
Actually, maybe she isn't looking for a Mr. Right, but a Mrs. Right.
Yep, I called it. I'll have you instead, Japanese woman.
Oh, my Marianne, we still love you even if you're in the closet.
Ha ha ha.
That would explain some things. How do you know you don't have a ring anymore? Maybe you two can be together and I don't have to worry about my best girls being alone.
Oh, okay. I can dig that.
What are you on about? There's nothing to explain.
But the more I deny, the louder they tease until the other people in the pub start to watch. It doesn't help at all when Orana drapes her arm over my shoulders and leans in.
Will I be all yours then? Will you be making me feel like a woman?
Oh god. I know that they're just kidding around, but this doesn't make me... I'm comfortable in the slightest. So when Kamala notices my silence and Haruna sees the expression on my face, they stop. And when the awkward air settles over us, the rest of the pub goes back to whatever they were doing before the whole thing ever happened. They probably won't even remember it when they wake up with massive hangovers anyway.
Sorry.
Me too.
Hey, no hard feelings, right?
I raise my glass. They smile. We drink. There's no need to say more. We're all definitely far too drunk tonight. Eventually, the fun times end. It is a weekday, after all. And with Harana being a nurse, she still has to get ready for her next shift. Cam also has a loving fiance waiting for her at home, and really didn't have to make a fuss about having left some buns in the oven when she took off early. Really, I understand. I was the one who insisted, who was determined to get pissed drunk anyway. Moving to the bar, I sit. Alone at last. Alone with a stranger. Oh no. Son of a bitch. I haven't seen him here before. Obviously not a regular. He hasn't said word and just sits there, surveying his drink. With his whiskey served neat in one hand and a lighter in the other. It doesn't seem like he's noticed me yet, and maybe I should go before he does look my way. Because he was pretty and he was blonde. And those two things plus alcohol never did me any good, so she's into blondes. But not too late. Judging by the way his flushed face and the dazed look in his eyes, he's as pissed drunk as I am. But whereas I feel like kneeling over, he looks like he's still ready to take the catwalk by the storm. Really, he just has the air of one of those men who think they own the world.
Hello there, sexy. Please don't stand up on my account. I already like what I see.
Whiskey.
Fancy a drink? It'll be on me.
Oh no. But then again, I might be pleasantly surprised if he proves me wrong.
Want some between the sheets? Sex on the beach? I'm talking cocktails, of course.
Fat chance. But it doesn't matter. We both know how to play this game. And there are two different ways for the night to end. One thing or another is going to happen. The question is, what do I want to do?
Oh no, that's fine. I'd rather order some blue balls or some AMF if you don't mind.
He looks like he's about to say some witty resort, but stops himself and downs the rest of his whiskey. I order a mint julep. He gets another whiskey, and we start the customary small talk. Of course, the saying, "Ask me no questions and I'll tell you no lies," goes without saying. We ask nothing about each other, offering up falsehoods to establish a serious fake connection between two strangers at a pub, if only to pass the time. Whiskey, as I have come to call him, is supposedly 21 years old, single, you bitch, takes care of his sick mother, and is a manager of some sort. Manager or what? I didn't care to listen to the details. Meanwhile, Mint, as he has come to call me, is 29 and I'm... What did I say I was again? Oh yes, I told him that I was a professional chocolate taster, because fuck it. If I'm going to lie about what my job is, might as well make fun of it, make it fun. It's a pretty decent chat between two pretty drunk strangers. And maybe it's just me, but we might as fucking well expend the tiniest amount of effort in pretending there's something meaningful in this meeting. Would have been nice too, if it was just left like that, left at that. But during a lull in the conversation, he brings it up.
You know, I've never been with a woman taller than me.
Oh. And to think he might have been different from the rest.
Never have and never will, whiskey. Can we go back to the history of chocolates?
Did you know that chocolate candy was introduced in 19th century England as a healthier alternative to alcohol?
Saint Lucy was the most beautiful woman of her time. She had men come from the four corners of the world just to see the pure light of her exquisite green eyes. Wait, what? If she were so lucky anyway.
No, enough of the history lesson. Come on, Mint. You know and I know what you came here for.
Though not every suitor was gallant, and she was no fool. She had known that sooner or later she wouldn't be able to defend her chastity.
Come on. There must be something that gets you going.
So she had taken out a knife and gouged out her own eyes.
There is something, but I don't think you can handle it.
Oh, you. Huh. Impressed with her devotion, God restored her eyes and made them more beautiful than before. He has a peculiar sense of humor, hasn't he? Because that only meant suitors kept going after Lucy, and she kept her eyes in a chalice to scare them away.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I can handle whatever it is.
Saint Lucy, help me. Help me turn away from sin. Help me with my own blindness.
My place isn't too far from here. I won't take care of you if it ends up being too much for you.
So you did sleep with him.
And no one will be able to hear you if you try to scream. You sure you want to go down that road, pretty boy?
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, so Mariana? Good on you, I guess. So he did cheat. He cheated a lot, actually. The best thing about having my condo so close to the pub is the ease of access. As long as I can still stand and walk, I can make it home. Maybe I need help from a kind neighbor or two to help me with the last leg if I really gone overboard on the alcohol. But I always made it home, sometimes with company. Of course, that always comes with complications, especially with the real clingy ones. But it isn't anything a good tip about stalkers to the building security can't fix. I'm always nervous though, even if this isn't the first time I've done this. And the first few minutes when we enter my room are the first few agonizing minutes where I try not to panic. Okay, Mac, so far so good. Don't let him smell your fear under all that liquid courage. He'll leave sooner or later and I'll never have to see him again, just like every other man before him. I like to say to myself that the men I brought to my place were more scared than I was. Yet there is no fear when I look into Whiskey's eyes, only delight. When he starts touching me, I don't even hesitate when I push him against the door. Roughness is to be expected. Oh, okay. And as long as he sticks to the script, everything will go smoothly. We'll have our little tuple in the sheets, he'll leave, we'll forget about it. I don't think it works like that. If somebody asked what I really wanted, I would have told him that I wanted a bed of roses, chocolates, and music. maybe in an Irish castle. But all I really want is her, and that's never going to be a reality. That was my fault, of course, because I was afraid, because I was a coward. They would never hold a candle up to her. She was the light of my life, and I had let her go. I can't even be bothered at the thought of her. Just the single thought of her makes my resolve to see this affair through waver.
Wait.
What is it now?
Really? Yes, what is it now? What's it gonna be, Marianne? To sex? Or not to sex? Huh. He's gonna like me though. But this is for Hana.
We're both drunk.
Wait, what? That increased? Huh?
And...
This is wrong. Don't you think it's a bit fucked up that we're about to have sex and we're just calling each other by the drinks that we had? How messed up are we?
Doll, shut up with the ethics and morality talk. It is seriously putting me out of the mood.
If you want to leave now, Whiskey, I understand. I mean, with how smashed you are, it'd probably be best for you to sleep the night unless you want to be mugged. But I won't stop you. And this isn't going to happen.
Bloody hell.
Cock blocked. Of course, he's annoyed at me for putting off our night of sexual congress. But no means no. And beyond spewing a few profanities under his breath, he surprisingly simmers down soon enough. I was worried for a moment that he might try to force something. Instead, he makes a show of fixing his suit and smoothing down his hair before making himself comfortable on the nearest seat he could find.
What are you doing then? You have a guest in your home. Put the damn kettle on. Dandelion tea if you have it. But I suppose all you have are those shitty tea bags from the store.
If it isn't for the absurdity of this turn of events, I would have flipped him off for thinking I have no taste. But in the end, I just laugh. All I got are cans of Korean ginseng and lemon balm though, no dandelion. Without a second thought, I do wet the tea. That's 3 minutes to get the kettle to a boil. 3 minutes where we say nothing to each other. I thought the relationship would go down, like... So much for him going in a bad mood, which he is. I'm so confused. I mean, what do you even say to a guy I was going to sleep with until I changed my mind? I doubt he's in a mood to talk about the influence of Troyes on Marley. It's still unusual by the time we're both seated on my bed with mugs of tea in hand.
Just so you know, whatever is going on right now is a lot stranger and fucked up than the one night stand.
We are two messed up individuals by your logic.
Everything is messed up, if you ask me. What? Terrorism, famine, poverty, loved ones and loved lost. Oh, this whole world is a cesspool.
Well, I will agree on that. Whiskey. The dead air is telling when it fills the room once more. One would think that this is the perfect time to burst, to spill about whatever issues that made us the fucked up person that we are today. And it is. But I guess some part of me would rather not put the weight of my problems on somebody else's shoulders. It wouldn't be fair to leave that to a person when I don't even know if we'll ever see each other again. Sooner rather than later, we both pass out on my bed, mugs left forgotten on the floor. ... When I wake, whiskey is already gone. A bottle of painkillers and a note on the table are the only evidence that I wasn't alone last night. Thanks for the tea and Marianne's whiskey. I don't even question where these are from or just how he knew my real name. I'm just grateful for something to help with the hangover. Might as well. I have a job to do. Well, we're on the 22nd. It isn't often that I think about drinking on the job, but after meeting with the Wrights yesterday really makes me want to break my self-imposed rules. Because, first off, fucking damn whiskey was fucking damn Mr. Wright. And to top it all off, they had somehow forgotten to inform me that they didn't own the Ermengarde machine yet when they hired me. What sort of person does that?
Ugh, rich people.
I could do nothing but twiddle my thumbs at this, however, twiddle my thumbs and wait for the go signal. It's not like I can accept other smaller projects. This is a big job, and I should be ready to start on it at any time. Not to mention that my PA practically begged me to be patient and wait this out. It was a hard decision to agree, but I did so in the end. Besides, I'm doing this for the Ermengarde mansion, not for anything or anyone else. I have a headache, whatever I do anyway. I'd go to the pub again, but seeing what happened a few days ago, I'd rather not end up in bed with another potential client. And it might be a huge leap in logic, but a library is the next best thing after the pub. I have to go there anyway. I need more books for Dad. Plus, I also need to return the ones I borrowed last time. Finding a new book or two to read for myself while I have nothing to do isn't such a bad idea either. So on a Saturday morning, I find myself going to the only library in Luxbourne to hopefully cool off. After returning an Erzurel and a poetry book by Henry of Pope Bradley, I asked the librarian about the several titles on my list, though I don't have much luck on that front. Dialogue with Death has already been snatched, and she bluntly said that she did not keep our mathematical universe for someone who didn't return books on time. I make headway, at least, when I ask about Siege and a rendition of Havana by Jacques de Pezula. If you count her snarling and pointing at the history section as headway, that is. The history section is devoid of any other except for myself and a redhead, though I wager a guess that Red's just passing by to get the classical literature section. Becca! So many books, so little time. Scanning the books and seeing so many wonderful titles gives me great pleasure. And that's when I spotted.
Hello, sailor. Why don't you come to Mama?
Architecture. Ah. It's not the naval battle book I was looking for, no. It's even better. The newly acquired History of Luxborn Architecture, first edition too. I know I just have to get it. I've been waiting to get my hands on the book for so long. The fact that there is only one copy proves to be a problem though, when Red reaches out for it the same time as I do.
I think I had this first, miss.
What's my relationship with Becca? Pretty damn low. Not a good start. I can only stare her down when she refuses to let go of the book. Refusing to let go of it as well, I raise a brow at her in the hopes that the fact that I was significantly taller than her would intimidate the girl. Even then, she refused with a rebellious look.
This isn't exactly light reading, miss. I mean, do you even know which architect was at the forefront of 18th century Irish architecture?
A beat. She blinks, and I can't help the smirk on my face, which is wiped off when she opens her mouth.
Edward Lovett Pearce, who established the Palladian style through his work with Castletown House and the Irish Houses of Parliament.
You gotta give her credit for knowing.
This bridge was destroyed in this year to delay French troops while under the regency of Mary of Guise.
Yeah, give her credit for that. This is not what I was expecting. Let's be honest, how many people would know these history facts? Aside from me, anyway.
Going right to the obscure ones, aren't you? Easy enough. Tullybody Old Bridge in Clackmannanshire, Scotland, on the January of 1560, if we want to be specific.
Suddenly, it's a game where we throw these history questions and facts at each other, back and forth in hushed tones unless we want to be thrown out of the library. After a while, it goes from some strange competition into this strange but friendly banter, if it could be called that. But as fun as it is, the exchange soon slows down until we're grinning at how odd this whole scene is.
Marianne McCulloch, my desire for potatoes doesn't quite match what the stereotypes suggest.
Rebecca Gales, the Scots' supposed hatred for the English wasn't enough to stop me from teaching their little spawns.
Nice. By then, we had forgotten about our little tug-of-war, although she still holds the book in her hands. I had let go of it without realizing when she answered my first question.
History teacher, then?
Got it in one.
Miss Giles.
No wonder you gave me a run for my money. Now, if we're talking about architecture, I'd blow you out of the water. You're from where? Luxburn Uni?
Oh no, just St. Goretti's.
Ah yes, St. Goretti's. You'd think a school would choose a more appropriate saint to name themselves after, especially when they have very young students.
And I'm guessing you're an architect, if you're so confident about the subject.
Interior designer, Miss Gales.
Please, just call me Rebecca. You aren't one of my students, are you?
Marianne, then.
I could have said that I was an architect, but there's no point in explaining why I wasn't one anymore.
So, I've never seen you before. I'd like to think I've met every history aficionado in town.
I blame the rock I've been hiding under, of course. That, and I'm usually only here on the weekdays if time allows. Work often has me meeting clients on the weekends.
That must be interesting work.
It allows for some creative freedom, sure. But it's like working with children sometimes. Though you probably have it harder working with actual children. The hardest part is convincing them that your idea is their idea.
That sounds exciting.
It is!
But isn't that true for any workplace, though? We just cross our fingers and hope there aren't any man-children in charge of important things. Any big projects right now? I can't imagine that interior designing is a frequent thing.
I'm working on the Ermengarde mansion. Lucky me. That mansion. Intach. Wonderful. Breathtaking. I can't wait to start in it. Now that is beautiful architecture.
A pause. It looks like she wants to say something at my mention of the house. I'm not surprised. That place is certainly popular with the locals, especially with the urban legend attached to it. In the next second, though, she seems to think better of it and drops what she's about to say.
So, do you have a portfolio or anything I can take a look at? I'd love to see your designs. Maybe you have some on a tablet? I've met some designers before, and they're always going crazy over these virtual room apps or another.
A tablet? Please. Callicrates didn't need those silly iTabs when he built the Parthenon. I certainly don't need one to design a house.
The computer back at my place is all I have. Why should I buy such an expensive gadget that will just get outdated within the year when what I have is just as functional? The traditional ways had a far more personal touch in my opinion, not to mention those smartphones are awful tools of procrastination. I can't even count on one hand the number of people I see going outside only to have their eyes glued to the things. And fuck touchscreens. Touchscreens. They're evil things that make typing what I should have been a simple task harder.
I do have an online portfolio if you'd like. I can...
Speaking or thinking of the devil seems to have summoned it, because before I can even carry on, Rebecca's attention wanes as she pulls out her mobile. From what I can only assume is a call, she gives me an apologetic look before standing up and excusing herself. Farther into the aisle she goes for some privacy. I do my best to give it to her as well, trying to turn her out.
Well, is something wrong? Lunch at the coffee house? Sure, I can make it. I'm not too far, I can be there in 10.
But with how quiet the surrounding is, she can't blame me if I overhear snippets of our conversation. When she returns with a sheepish look on her face, I know that our friendly chat has to be cut short.
Sorry, I have to go and meet with some friends.
Lovely to meet you, by the way.
It's fine, totally fine. No need to even apologize.
About the book.
Her embarrassment increases twofold when she realizes she's still holding on to history of Luxborn architecture. I don't give her time to think about it as I put a hand up and shake my head, fishing out a pen and paper from my bag, along with one of my business cards. I hand them over to her.
You know, I'm busy with work, so I might not even be able to take a peek at it anytime soon. You can go ahead and have it. But you'll have to ring me up when you're returning it just so I can snag it right away. Deal?
She makes quick work, penning her number down and handing it back to me with a grin.
Deal. Just message me during school hours, of course. You have a good day then.
You too.
With Rebecca gone, I'm left alone standing in the history section. Although my original plans were simply to sit down and read a good book, our little pop quiz, if you could call it that, made the time pass by without any of us even realizing it. It was fun, and I do believe I made a new friend. Good job, Marianne. Even with the talk of lunch, however, I don't feel like grabbing a bite to eat. There are still other books to be read here, and I'm hoping to find something that will help me while I work with the rights. Something like How to Deal with Assholes Professionally 101 just in case. I've dealt with a lot of uppity, snoopity, and reach clients before, but it's still better to be safe than sorry. Because Luke Wright just takes the fucking cake, and he probably manages to eat it too. It seems the world is conspiring to keep me from my me time as my mobile vibrates in my pockets the moment I find something from the shelves of the classic literature section.
Marianne McCulloch, Charlie Rose Design speaking.
Rose Cooper here, Miss McCullough. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time or anything.
Yes, he did.
But I just wanted to check in and tell you that we've got the clear to hand over the documents. Madam Wright told us that we should forward the floor plans to you.
Already? How did they go through the process so fast? Surely there are so many red tape to even acquire the forms in the transferring of rights. No matter how rich the rights are, it shouldn't be this quick, right?
So, if I can just have your email, I'll be sending them your way.
I'd actually like a physical copy of the floor plans.
Oh, I suppose that's fine. I'm not at the office right now, but I can inform Miss Santos of your request.
I'll make sure to drop by the office after lunch if that's fine.
Not a problem. Right. Well, cheers.
Right, cheers.
I don't know. I just don't. Is there some sort of deeper miscommunication when we last met? These things take time. It's been what? A day? Less than that even. There isn't even a point in trying to make sense of these people who seem to be larger than life. As it looks like I'm on the clock starting today, I might as well eat. Grabbing some fish and chips from one of the street food stalls, I find a table to spend time with a copy of Marquis de Sales' The Crime of Love, since Rebecca left with the book I wanted. I read this one before, along with the rest of his works. This would be the 18th time, in fact. But it's always nice to read through it again when I don't have the time to enjoy something new. Besides, when you're dealing with people so filthy rich that they just end up plain filthy, you need the good old Musqueam sound advice.
La blessure se trouvant sans aucune sorte de conséquence.
The what? The wound being without any consequence. Of course, it's folly to think that things have no consequence when everything actually does. So, when is the Grudge Girl gonna come out to you? Aw, this is cute. It's a very good picture. Briar Reality Corporation's Luxborn branch isn't too far off from the city central, just a few blocks away, and I can easily eat and walk. I rather use this time to rest before I go into a fury of activity. No doubt there'll be so much to do once we get hands-on with the mansion.
Still a lot better than working on another condo, at least.
Surely, no matter how much a BRC and the old owners put into the restoration and provision of the place, any big repairs would be superficial at most. I am quite certain that in their haste to sell the property, they did a rush job. It isn't an infrequent thing to do, despite how it is frowned upon. There will be a lot of hidden issues that I will need to weed out, and I have to make sure I find every single one of them, especially the more serious damages. Structural integrity is definitely on top of the list we will have to consider. The building might look sturdy, but is centuries old. That alone will likely pose a few problems here and there, put limitations on what we can do. Besides, despite how much I detest these rich snobs, they can pay rather handsomely, so long as I do an excellent job and do more than necessary. Those two things always make sure the referrals keep coming. I don't even have to hunt down projects for myself. When I do go up to BRC's office, I can't help but stop and stare when I enter the building. With the lunch hour closing, employees should have been back already if they still aren't filtering through the doors. I get that it's a Saturday, that people probably feel tired and lazy to be working on the weekend. But they're still on the clock, not bumming about wasting company time on extended lunch breaks and cigarette sessions. The office is spuncious, something, as it is with these big corporations. Each person is given their little space of what's usually a 2x2 metric cubicle. There is a lot more empty chairs than there are actual people working at their desks. It reminds me far too much of my last day at Porkova Projects during the massive layoffs due to the Irish economic crisis. But it isn't just that though. Everything is as quiet as a grave, as if these people are merely ghosts. Speaking of ghosts, Santos comes in through the door, looking as if she's just seen one. She looks at me, wide-eyed, like a deer caught in the headlights, ready to bolt at any moment. I ask out of concern, but I feel it's not my position to do so. What if it's something personal? I'd simply be overstepping my boundaries. Really, it's none of my business.
I presume that Miss Cooper told you why I'm here, Miss Santos?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just got back from lunch, you know? But it won't take too long, don't worry.
Of course it won't. This whole project has established itself to be a matter done in haste. I do hope it doesn't mean that people are being careless in their duties.
She flinches, and looks like she doesn't quite know how to respond to that. Thankfully, instead of opening her mouth, she leads the way towards her station and goes to fetch the floor plans. It won't take too long, as she said, but it does take a bit time spent to compose herself, most likely.
You know, we usually just email these things.
I prefer the real thing.
Not that you would know. You probably have your nose stuck in front of a smartphone when you're not working, and even when you should be working, playing those mindless addictive games. I definitely wish Chris would stop playing that Batcat thingy during work hours too.
I know what you mean. Digital painting is nice, but nothing beats the smell of real paint. Not that I go and smell paint like a crazy person, but, you know, the real thing is different.
Wait, what?
Yes, nothing is quite like the real thing.
Checking out the floor plans, I see that I'll have a lot going for me. Now I know how Ray felt when he found the Central Park West Building floor plan from that one movie. This is why I became an architect in the first place. Jacobean style at its finest. It's a thing of beauty. Look at these gorgeous rooms, the delicate harmony between empty spaces. And speaking of empty spaces, there's something rather odd about these ones. The attic?
I feel a bit silly saying it out loud because I've never lived in a big house, let alone a mansion. But during the tour, I had the distinct impression that the rooms were bigger. Maybe the scale is wrong? It's not much of a problem, and it is an old house.
There had been little details here and there that I would have liked to address during the open house too. But it was all forgotten in the wake of Miss Santos's incident and the trouble with ownership. The wine cellar is going to be a problem. I shudder to think what sort of repairs they did to the place. There might have been things that were swept under the rug, pushed to the dark corner of the rooms, and hidden away in barrels. Water damage could have been covered up. There had been floods due to heavy rains in West England just last year after all, and if there's any sort of damage to the house's foundation, that's going to be a lot of work. I was not able to look at the attic as well. For all I know, a whole family of vermin could have made their nest there. Working with pest control is always the worst. The sheer size of this place is staggering, even if I did just say it was a lot smaller than I thought. I might just be biting off more than I can chew, but who doesn't like a good challenge? First things first, I'll have to.
So, do you want a coffee? The one from the staff room is pretty decent.
There's really no need. I'm sure you have rules against it.
Rules against bringing someone coffee? That's ridiculous, and even if there were regulations against it, nobody's really here to tell Sir John. I've already brought 2 mugs, and I'm not going to drink them on my own. Come on.
Aww. I have to stamp down my annoyance at being distracted. Seeing the girl, the young woman though, it looks like she has a lot on her mind. If babbling is her way of dealing with stray thoughts, I'm not really the one she should be babbling to. How should I respond? Well, you could go with her. I mean, she's over 18. Okay. Alright, so little increase. I give her time to speak up. But when she just stares, I clear my throat.
Yes? You have something to say?
As embarrassment creeps up on her face, I snatch one of the coffees from her and take a sip. Too hot.
Just thinking and speaking off the record, it must be fun what you do. You go to people's houses and you make them, well, pretty. You're sharing your art with them.
It's a little bit more complex than that. But if you put it that way, it is fun. I wouldn't have done it for 7 years if it wasn't a little bit fun, I guess.
These big clients always have paintings in their homes. Do you have a supplier for art pieces?
I didn't expect to hear such question from her, seeing how well she handled herself yesterday. I didn't doubt then why she was assigned to an important sale like the Ermengarde mansion, despite the little accident she had. Now she just looks too young, too nervous, and unsure of herself, although her enthusiasm must make up for that in spades. In fact, I wouldn't have believed it if she had introduced herself the way she is at the moment. While watching her now, she actually looks like she should still be in college. Acts a bit like it too, when I think about it. I thought she was 18, slumming it out in the mansion when I first saw her there, lying on the ground. Surprise, surprise, she turned out to be one of the estate agents handling the property. I don't even know what to make of that whole meltdown that happened with that strange document. If I were the client, I would have been very upset. She'd be in hot water for it.
The clients usually support artists of their own choice. If they don't, I'm always happy to refer those that I know.
That's cool.
They're very picky. I don't think a hobbyist will have an easy time getting their work sold.
Hey, I'll have you know I was a student of the fine arts.
And yet here you are, selling property. Maybe you weren't a very fine student of the arts.
Oh. Maybe I took that a bit too far. She bites her cheek, and it looks like she's barely holding herself back.
It's not like I had a choice.
She mutters it under her breath. I barely even hear it. But the hurt is there. And it makes one wonder what brought it on. Although it is understandable, if her reasons what I think it is, very few people make it big in the art world. I can see why she'd be upset about it with that enthusiasm. I didn't have a choice when I left Ireland. It was that or years of unemployment. The recession and the toll it took in the construction industry was out of anyone's control. I don't know what choice she wasn't able to make, whether it was about her being at art school or something else. But the world isn't a fair place. And the sooner she accepts it, the better. Still, with that forlorn look on her face, I can't help but sigh. The girl reminds me far too much of myself when I was younger.
Well, if you're thinking of commissioning your paintings, I'll have to see your work first.
Oh, it's not... I didn't mean it like that. I don't have any paintings.
Really? You sounded a lot like you still did art or want to. Now I'm starting to worry that you might just like the smell of paint.
I'm not a paint huffer, sheesh. I just mean I don't make much anymore. I don't really have the time for it. The tools and materials aren't exactly cheap either.
Everything has a price. It sounds like you're making excuses for something you're presumably passionate about. If you really want to practice art, a little out of your wallet isn't much.
It's not that simple.
It's not. Life's simple. People just like to make it complex. Speaking off the record, I have some advice for you, kid. Either go for what you want, or stop thinking about it when you have something else. That is unless you enjoy making yourself miserable, then by all means.
You know, if you wanted to look at the floor plans without me bothering you, you could have just said so.
Would you have left me alone?
We'll never know now, will we?
Well, a strained air settles in the room afterwards. It doesn't help that she doesn't immediately leave, as she has said, lingering awkwardly by the door with that downcast expression. It's clear there's more she means to say, perhaps even to defend herself and her choices in life. Or is she expecting me to dish out more of that advice? It's an awkward affair, and I choose to hightail out of the retail office as quick as I can. Though I am able to keep myself professional at all times, does not mean I like it. And seeing that most of the day has already gone by before I realized it, I choose to head back to my flat instead, despite today being a Saturday. No fun, but at least this way, I can definitely avoid another unpleasant encounter. Considering how much I'll be seeing whiskey in the near foreseeable future, I have a feeling I'll need all the rest the weekend can give me. For the first time in a long while, excited as I am to work on the mansion, I cannot wait to be over and done with this project. Well, Monday. Wow, she hasn't encountered the ghost yet? Probably not. It's the 24th. When things got hectic for Isabella at least. But anyway, that is it for now. When we come back, we're gonna start off Monday, everybody's favorite day. So, have a good day everyone.